Setlist episode 15. Oh yeah, we're gonna be here somehow. It's gonna be a great show with David Jimenez. Yeah, I think of the songs that we're discussing today, as I plug in my laptop, of the songs we're talking about today, that's probably going to be the most prominent one. But yeah, I'm Brooklyn. Andrew's backstage. He is working up the gifts, curating some great memes for today's show. But yeah, our guest today, similar to Jeff from last week, he's been a big supporter of the music sphere of this. I think he actually got his introduction when we did like jukebox trivia, like way back in like the yeah, geez, the old Jackbox, or not Jackbox, the joke days, the dark timeline. But yeah, David Jimenez, how we doing, bud?
Hello there. Yeah, it's been quite a while here appearing every year in the music programs. It's been good. It's been good. All fine. What about you guys?
It's been pretty good. Yeah, so it's like fall. It's fall. Things are winding down. It's nice and cool. We live in a universe where Rolling Stones has put out an album for the first time in 25 years. So I think it's an interesting time to be a music fan. Um, but yeah, we'll get right into the meat and potatoes of it. If you haven't seen the show before, how it works is I give the guests the same 10 questions for every other one, so that whenever you watch this for the first time, you know what to expect coming in, and then you'd be excited for certain questions coming up. So we'll get right into it. Number one, who is your favorite artist? And this one caught me by surprise, given how we've talked about like the Beatles, and I know that we've talked a lot about like Pink Floyd, but I think you're the first person to bring this guy up.
Yeah, I suppose that it was going to have a interesting reception because I know the story we have talked about every time I come here. I think it's exclusively to talk about Pink Floyd or the Beatles, so I assumed that was going to be the answer. But they are close second and third. But my favorite artist of all time, and I discovered that a couple of years ago, is Mr. the Chameleon of Rock himself, David Bowie.
Yeah, chameleon indeed. I don't think he ever kept his feet planted into like one particular sound. But yeah, go on.
Definitely, yeah. My story with David Bowie, it's both sad and happy because I started listening to him right about the end of 2015, and well, you know that in 2016 he sadly left us, and it got sad because I was just recently discovering his music and how great it was. But it wasn't until like 2019 where I really got caught into like his entire body of work, and it's massive. It's like a massive body of work, like what, um 15, 16 albums, maybe more, I do not remember, but it's like four
Yeah,
decades of music, or five, even. But yeah, I always had these periods of I love this band, I love this group first. I love the Beatles, and Pink Floyd. They were kind of like very defining in my high school and pre-college years. We're going to talk about that later as well. But when I truly understand Bowie's magic and kind of like all the great things he did was when I was more or less middle through college, and during that stage. And boy, he did some great stuff. Like if we're talking about, how do you say, like different stages, different um, versions of himself as an artist, we can go on for days without end. Really, it's just pretty much when we talk about David Bowie, is what version of David Bowie do you like the most? Do you like the glam eras of Ziggy Stardust and Aladdin Sane? Do you like the experimental cold ambient stuff of like the Berlin trilogy? Do you like the poppy years of Let's Dance, or his most serene, concentrated, very mature last stage that he had with the next day and Black Star. You have, pretty much any album that you pick would be like um, understandable that you pick as your favorite. And well, with that massive body of work, with that many music made, is really really impressive how many good jobs, how many good albums he has. Like pretty much half of his discography, when no one with that much albums has like five or six, and it's just amazing. Just really one of the most amazing the most amazing artists that ever that we ever had. And well, yeah, I think it resounded a lot with me during those days, and until today. I'm actually wearing him today for
Oh,
my very
nice.
honor. So yeah, David Bowie is my favorite artist
Yeah.
of all time.
But yeah, so I'm kind of polarized on it because similar to like how we were talking about, he's almost like a trailblazer and just like trying new sounds and seeing where he fits. Similar to how whenever I had Sean Sandberg on, we were talking about Jeff Beck and how he was kind of doing the same thing, but he kept that backbone. I don't get that sense with David, and I think that works and it doesn't work. Like I think his stretch from 67 is whenever his debut record came out, and like from there to the 70s is really good. But then you get into the 80s and like that pop era. I just think he kind of fell into the same tropes that were happening at the time. Like you have Let's Dance out of that, but like I think Fame also comes from that one as well, and like that was the like of his radio songs, that's the one that I probably want to skip the most. Um, but getting back to like his debut record, I think it's very telling of how popular the Beatles were, just because of like how songs were structured. Like it was that very like light kind of 60s pop thing. But in saying that, what I love about David Bowie is that with his albums, he does a really good job of bringing you in to kind of familiarize with it. And then once you get, like, it's usually about like partway through,
Yeah.
he then gets to expand and then be like, all right, here's what I'm actually trying to tell. Like you look at that first album and like Uncle Arthur and Please Mr. Gravedigger are two entirely different songs that don't sound the same. Please Mr. Gravedigger was a pleasant surprise for me because it's that very much kind of like spoken word, and there's a kind of like a there's a chillness to it, almost kind of like a darkness, kind of given the context. The Space Oddity album in particular was probably my favorite discovery. God Knows I'm Good was probably my favorite find off of that one. But yeah, from that earlier era, what are some of your favorite albums?
Well, from the beginning, from the very start, I think that first three album run is actually quite underrated if we think about it. The first album, it's like he got to play a lot with, yeah, the poppy sounds. It reminds me a lot of the first Pink Floyd album in a way that it play his influences very highly, and it's very obvious from the beginning. Of course, it sounds a lot like the Beatles, and it sounds a lot like some jazz, weird contemporary music that it had around the time. Which, by the way, little trivia question: I don't know if this is correct or not, but David Bowie's first album got out on the same exact day as Sgt. Pepper's, so it was
Oh wow,
yeah,
what a time!
yeah. So quite a start he got. But actually, on the second one, it's when we have Space Oddity, which catapult him. I think that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah.
I have to fact check it. But anyways, oh, we're skipping to question number two
Nope.
now. Okay. Oh, all right. Sorry, I tend to talk a lot about David Bowie.
No, no,
But
no, 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 no. Keep going. I think that was just a misclick, but
it's okay. Don't worry. Um, it catapulted into stardom. It got really huge. It got around the time where the moon landing happened, so it got it like into everyone's frame of mind in that case. But that album has some serious bangers, like Signet Committee is just an amazing, enthralling, very spacious, crazy kind of song that evokes onto his very experimental nature. We also have Letter to Hermione, which is very mellow, very laid back, very beautiful, that played up a little bit on how he could construct a ballad. Um, it has some bright spots, but it's still a little bit rough, a little bit like he's finding his footing. And then when you got to what's the third album called? Is this
It
The Man Who Sold the World?
is. Yeah, this is the Man Who Sold the World.
Yeah,
Which is by the way, very short album. Like those first three albums, I think they're like all 10 songs or less.
yeah. It's they are not long by any means of the word. And that one, it's where you start to see a lot more of how adventurous can it get. You know, and with the rock, with the blues, it gets a little bit more into that kind of genres and types of music. And well, you got The Man Who Sold the World, which yeah, Nirvana got popular.
Which is definitely, yeah, definitely written by Nirvana. Like
Yeah,
it's like
definitely.
it was a shame to hear like whenever David Bowie played that later, and that the kids that were going to it, it's like, oh man, I can't believe he's covering Nirvana.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. And even the original, like Nirvana didn't change much. Like I think it's even the same tone on the guitar
Yeah,
on the original. Yeah.
this is very, very similar. The only thing that changes is the vocal arrangement and maybe some instruments in the back. But there is a song here, "The Width of a Circle," which actually opens the album. Is just such an amazing opener. It gets you right into the meat and grit of everything. And again, it's kind of like observing how good, how um, well of a composer was he during this time. And well, the fact that it was these three albums weren't really that popular. He almost got cut by his record company, I think. But then the next record came and it was like, oh, never mind, we're keeping this guy, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And even off of his own records and stuff, like he was still like, I don't know if he was like ghostwriting in particular, but he was helping out stuff. Like I know all the young dudes
Oh
he
yeah.
had helped contribute with as well. Obviously, like Under Pressure with Queen. It's a shame that he died. He died when he did, because I feel like if he's still alive today, he's doing kind of the same thing that Elton John is doing. But like kind of in a different way. And I feel like Elton John is kind of like, hey, like these people that are usually already successful, let's try to raise the bar with them. Where I feel like it was with David, given the different sounds that he was going for, instead of like kind of going up, it's like, all right, well, let's expand the horizons and like see how far we can stretch the sound.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it kills me every single time when I think, man, David Bowie would have loved to hear this. David Bowie would have loved to just collaborate with this person, with this other artist. I'm pretty sure that if he was still alive, he would have released a hyper pop record to this point. Which I don't know if I would be happy with that, but definitely he would have done that.
Well, funny that you mention that, because like similar to Michael Jackson, like obviously with his estate's sort of like approval and whatnot, they're definitely taking clips or taking like unfinished songs to kind of create these new ideas and whatnot.
Oh yes.
And it's like there was a single that came out last year, the Toki Monster remix of Golden Years. Sounds exactly like what you're talking about. This hyper pop sort of thing, which is crazy. Like that's kind of the trend now. The last album that I wanted to talk about was Heroes from 1977. This is one that Andrew and I had talked about whenever we did best albums of the 70s, like a couple of years ago now. And kind of that similar idea where you have that particular sound, but then halfway through, like even more so than Pink Floyd, just goes heavy in the psychedelics. And like it makes sense too, because like even by his own admittance, like in his songs, like a heavy cocaine user. I forget which song it is in particular, but he even references like major, like it's like something like Major Tom's the junkie, and that's
Oh,
something you don't really see a ton of.
yeah, that was Ashes to Ashes, Funk to Funky. We know Major Tom Sejong. That's from it's Ashes to Ashes, the name of the song, I think, and the album is Scary Monsters. Yeah, if we want to talk about our favorite Bowie period, a lot of people is like the glam period, Hunky Dory, Ziggy Stardust, Aladdin Sane, which is an insane run of albums on its own. But my personal favorite is the run that immediately followed it is Station to Station, Low, and Heroes, which is like a trilogy that any artist would die to have. And it's where his substance abuse story got really, really like heavy. And there's this legend, there's I don't know why my favorite artists always have legends around them that involves heavy drug use, but well, um, it happens.
It's I guess the I describe it is so it's somebody that does like the old left-handed cigarette. It does expand like the creative mind or whatever, and that is kind of like to a fault as well, because you have these new ideas, but then there's often these times of like you're think like you're that there's these new ideas, but then there's also like the like kind of like the tragedies and the past as well. So I think it's kind of finding that fuel to write new songs, to come up with these new ideas.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, other than that, I think he's a great footnote in the music world. Like definitely should be in the same conversation of like Billy Joel's and Elton John's, because like we
Oh,
don't I think
definitely.
like obviously like Harry Styles I think is the biggest influence that we have today, because of him. Um, but yeah, we'll get right into question number two. Your favorite song to dance to? Now, you gave two different answers. And
Yes,
yeah, let's hear them.
I wanna specify a little bit on that. By the way, my favorite David Bowie album is Low. You should check it out if you haven't. It is an amazing, amazing, amazing album. But anyways, I decided to put two in here because sorry for the motorcycle
Sorry.
sound. But one is because I am Mexican, and here in Mexico we love to throw parties whenever we can. And when we do that, we usually play this style of music that is called cumbia, which it's very tropical, it's very moving, and I think the most representative cumbia song that we have here down here in Mexico is called "Cómo te voy a olvidar," from a group called Los Ángeles Azules, which is actually like from a couple of miles from where I was born, so that's cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and they are super super famous down here. Like every party that you have, there's always a song from them playing. And this is probably my favorite because only because of that initial accordion line, which is just killer. It's just amazing. It puts you into the vibe immediately. And the song, all that it does is just continue with the same pace, doesn't do anything extraordinary, but just the melody, just the use of every instrument gets you into the right mood of, yeah, let's dance this song, let's go take that dance floor immediately. And every uncle and aunt and grandparent and father and son and whoever is in your party will stand up and start dancing to this because it's just an amazing amazing song to dance. It's part of all of our own modern folklore that we have down here in Mexico.
Okay. Yeah, I've really enjoyed this. Of the favorite songs to dance to that have been submitted for the show, I think this might be like the slowest tempo, and I think it actually works quite well. Like I would love to be watching this play live and just kind of have that natural sway. I do have one gripe with it, and I wouldn't even necessarily say it's like a fault of its own. I think it just certain things have come up in the pop culture sphere. Are you familiar with a game called Trombone Champ?
Yes.
So when that trombone hits, I'm like, it almost takes me out of it just because of how in front of the mix it is. I like the other horns that happen throughout the song. Like the trumpets in it are great, But
Yeah.
I think it's just like I heard it and I'm like, oh, like all I can see now is the line is like that line in trombone champ and that coming up. But yeah, otherwise else like a really cool song. But your second one as well, an all time banger.
Definitely. I tried to pick two because one, I wanted to talk about my Mexican heritage, because we love to dance, we love to do that. So I had to put this one on. But I also wanted to put a song that everyone knew it was just too damn good to not dance to it. And turns out that a couple of days ago, it was the 21st night of September.
How very
So,
fitting.
yeah, we're going to talk about one of the greatest disco songs ever made, one of the most certifiable bangers of all time. Pretty much, maybe it's a mainstream pick, but I don't really care. It's just too damn good. It's just too great.
It,
And
it, it, it is, yeah.
just like whenever you start hearing that initial guitar lick, when the horns blast, it's just like really really great. Everything just clicks, everything just works and fits into the right place. And just the song, as long as it goes and as it progresses, it just gets you into the mood of just keep going, keep dancing, keep owning the dance floor. So I'm not much of a dancer, I don't know how to dance that well, but whenever these two appear, I'm gonna clown myself into that dance floor, but I'm gonna do it because it's just, you know just too damn good.
Yeah. No, I've really enjoyed the song. Like obviously as a September baby, there's that connection to it. But I just like how the guitar kind of has like this natural descent through it, but then the horns kind of have a cross path, and they're going up as it comes down. The music video for this is also like a trance. Like
Oh
there's
yeah.
like I don't know what kind of lens they're using, but there's like seven different versions of a singer like popping up in this. Um, the but yeah, like but then you get into the chorus and like there's that release of like say do you remember the night of September and whatnot, and then you get into like the second verse as well, because they're like the first one they kind of stay on the beat, but then he comes off and has like this really really soulful verse that I think works because you can still sway to the rhythm of it and whatnot, and then still have that emotion. This also kind of got memed, like the
Yeah.
bad
To hell and
recorder.
back.
But it's great though, because it usually catches you off guard, because they still use like the original song for some TikToks and whatnot. But yeah. Oh, have you ever heard? I forget who does it in particular, but somebody mashed up this song, like the backing beat in particular, and "This Is America."
Oh damn! No, I haven't heard that. I have
No,
heard a lot of
it's
mashups, but that one.
yeah, it especially when it gets into the like it doesn't work as well in the verses because it has that like build up, but then it has and this is America part, like the kind of like the backing vocals, and like
Yeah.
they're not really saying words, but then you get into the chorus and it fits well because it gets in like because when he says like "This is America," it kind of fits in like the rest of like where the groove sits.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be a cool one to check out. Um,
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah. Question number 3: Your favorite song on the current top 500?
Okay, this one wasn't really that difficult. I have my own barrage of songs that I consider my all-time absolute favorites, and I was checking the whole list, and I saw that song, and it was like, yeah, doesn't matter the rest of the list. This is the best. It's my second favorite song of all time. It's
Oh wow.
yeah, it's that good. It's God Only Knows by the Beach Boys. Now, as a group, I prefer the Beatles every single day of the week and of the year, no matter what. But this song, man, this is the reason why Paul McCartney decided, damn, we have to do something better, and they did Sergeant Pepper's. Uh, so that has to tell you a little bit of how great this song is. It's just a masterpiece. I cannot even say anything else about this song because it's just that good.
Yeah, this song has been kind of talked to death. I think what is it what was the show with Bill Paxton on HBO? Like I know that they use that as the theme for it. Um, but the dichotomy of the song that I really enjoy is that intro. You have like those like really like well-rounded French horn that kind of fills everything
Oh
out.
yes.
But then when they cut out and then it's Brian Wilson, and he has kind of like a shrill to it, which really comes into effect as you ramp up into that round. And there's this overwhelming sense of reverb, and really just trying to fill out the room. But yeah, it's weird considering these guys also did like Good Vibrations, which is like this
Yeah.
very intricate, like well thought out song, whereas this one is kind of like let's strip it down and do what we do best, and have these harmonies, but also these kind of soft, subtle moments as well. So yeah, go into question number 4. Your favorite concert, and we were already talking about them a little bit earlier. But yeah, one artist in particular.
Yeah. I do have two picks as here in here as well because I don't go to many concerts. So when I do, I try to make them like the most valuable experience ever. In 2016, frontman and creative mind of that run of Pink Floyd albums, Roger Waters, came to Mexico City and offered a couple of shows, but one in particular was for free in what we call the Zocalo Plaza, which is like the pretty much the downtown area of Mexico City. It is a huge place, and I said to myself, I was just entering college, and it was my hero playing his songs live for free, and it was like
Oh
I
wow,
I
it's
just
free.
it was free. It was free of charge. It didn't charge anything. So it says I can't miss it, you know. So I went, and Roger Waters gave just pretty much one of his best concerts. It was so good that he even started uploading some clips of that presentation to his socials and everything because it was just really that good. I when that happens, I was like just the most massive Pink Floyd fan in the world, probably, and you know about that. And well, just hearing those songs live, it opens with "Breathe," which opens "Dark Side of the Moon," and it was just like that experience of hearing the sound collage that opens one of my favorite albums of all time, but live in a massive because the stage was just immense, you know. It was just chilling. It was a revelatory kind of like moment for me. It was like a canonic event, if we want to
Yeah,
mention it like that. And just as he kept going, he pretty much touched everything. You know, he started a little bit with Dark Side. He played also songs from like Saucer Full of Secrets and Metal. He played One of These Days, which is just one of the most amazing songs from the early Pink Floyd days. Then he dedicated himself basically to the main discography in which he was kind of like the leader, which was, of course, Dark Side of the Moon, Wish You Were Here, Animals, and The Wall. And when the section of Animals started, and it was really amazing to see that from the stage they were pulling out the chimneys from the Battersea power station like to be integrated into the stage, and it was just so
oh
amazing.
cool.
And it started playing Pigs on the Wing, and then he pretty much played the entire album. He just didn't play Sheep, which was sad. I wanted to hear Sheep live. But just that run when he played Time, and then he went on to playing Shine on Crazy Diamond and Wish You Were Here, of course. Well, Wish You Were Here felt different because, of course, you don't have Deivid there,
No.
but it still was a pretty good showing. Also with pretty much the entire of Animals, and when it started playing The Wall, it was just great as well. And yeah, to this day, I just go back to that day, and it is just amazing. It is of my favorite experiences of all time, and it was for free, man. So yeah, that's just great.
Um, so two things on there. I'm really glad to hear that this is a free show. I did get to have a similar experience with that. I got to see Bare Naked Ladies do like a Canada Day performance live. It was without one of the lead singers because he had left the band since. But still a great time nonetheless. The second thing, though, what more important, I'm glad to hear that he still like dives back into like the songs that really kind of made him famous. I have heard stories of like these kind of like these legends coming back to do shows. Like the story that I go back to is my mom and dad went to go see the Eagles. I think this would have been like 2009, 2010 or something. But John Fogerty had opened for them, and they got there like, oh, like we're gonna hear all the good ones, like Run Through the Jungle, like center field, all the TCR ones. And they got there, and he's like, nope, I'm playing all new stuff. Like this is just gonna be
Cool.
like a press tour. And it's like, really? Um, but but your second choice, the more that I think about it, I think, man, this would have been a crazy time.
Definitely, yes. My second choice is from this year on January 23rd. This one has a little bit of story. I'm gonna tell who the artist is. It's Muse's tour from the latest album, Will of the People, in Forosol in Mexico. It was crazy because actually this was a gift from my girlfriend. She gave me the tickets
Oh,
from
nice.
the concert. It was just so great to when she gave me that, and it was like very front rowish type of tickets. So it's I owe her that much. um, but this one has a story. When I was actually a year prior to the Roger Waters experience, Muse was touring in Mexico for the drone tour, and I tried to went into the concert. I tried to get tickets last minute. I couldn't do it, and I was like, "Well, I'm gonna stand outside and see if I can hear anything." I couldn't hear nothing, and it was just a waste of time. And from that moment on, it was kind of like, man, I have to see these guys live because it's one of my favorite bands of all time, and their live shows are just crazy, are just like super productions from another galaxy, always playing with concept, always being like very different. And it's like, man, I have to watch them at some point. And thanks to my girlfriend, that happened. And it was the last of no the third of four shows that they did here in Mexico. It was great. I went with a cousin who also loves this band, and we went there. The concert was at 8 p.m. No, 9 p.m. and we were making line at 8 a.m. We pretty much stayed the whole day there just to get really good seats, and it was amazing. Yeah, the production was just ridiculously good. Like you don't get a lot of. I mean, the two concerts that I picked, the production is just one of the greatest things I've ever seen in my life. Here was no different, and well, also it has a lot to do with the fact that they know how to play live shows really well, like crazily well. They have this concert album from live from Rome, which is one of the best live albums I've ever heard. And you can see like how well do they work as a unit live, playing their oldest hits, playing with the audience, knowing how to respond and react to them. And well, at the end of this show, I told you that my second favorite song of all time is God Only Knows. Well, my favorite song of all time is Knights of Sidonia by Muse.
Yeah, that would be incredible to hear live.
And it is just the best experience. I whenever I see, precisely when I saw that live at Rome concert, and I saw like the entire crowd jumping to the last drop of the guitar, I had a revelation, and I said like, I have to be there one time. I have to be there before I leave this world. And when that happens, I'm not ashamed to say I wept like a little girl, because it was really an emotional experience for me, but it was also really great. It was everything that I hoped for to see live, and even more. It got just so it is just amazing. It was just an amazing
I
experience.
I could imagine being in a crowd and you get to like that, like no one's gonna take me alive, like you and
Oh,
I must fight forever, right? And just like that build up, like thinking about it now almost has me tearing up. Um, but my so two questions for you. One, I guess for Muse or for Roger Waters, were there any opening acts that had played that really kind of grabbed your attention? And I guess the second one, that this one probably be a little bit easier to answer. Did they play? Did Muse play Hysteria?
okay. The first one,
And
yeah,
yeah. And if Muse did play Hysteria, how did the crowd react when that bass introed? Because I could imagine that that just gets the place pumping.
definitely. I'm gonna answer the second question first. Yes, they did play Hysteria. It was actually the second song on the set list.
Oh
So we
wow.
were it opened with "Will of the People," which is one of the best songs of his latest album. Which is honestly, it's not that great of a record, but it didn't matter because I listened to it live, and my perception of that changed. However, we were not out of the initial shock of seeing, oh my god, we're watching these guys live, when Chris Wolstenholme walks through the boardwalk or whatever, he walks through that catwalk they construct on the set, and he walks literally a couple of meters from us, and we were like crazy, and I thought, I know where this is going. He's gonna start playing Hysteria, and immediately he gets onto the ending of the boardwalk and he starts playing that bass line, and the place goes nuts. Like, everyone just erupted. The place erupted in screams, and it was just so amazing because again, we weren't out of the initial shock of, yeah, the concert has started, and they dropped that. It was just amazing. um the first question, Roger Waters actually didn't have an opening act. It was just him. But Muse had a Mexican metal band called The Warning.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a trio of sisters actually from Monterrey, Nuevo León, and they were pretty good. I really liked it. You should check them out. I can recommend this because it's even though they are Mexican, they mostly sing in English, so it's like
Okay.
doesn't really matter. But they were great. Like the energy they presented on show was really good, and I went on knowing absolutely nothing about them, and they were pretty good. I actually started following them, and they had a pretty solid discography. Not gonna lie. So yeah.
It's yeah, it's pretty crazy when you think about um like especially when you catch those opening acts and then you see them like later on. Like there's a band here called The Beaches. We were talking about with Adelaide on like the very end of their show.
Oh,
And they're an all girl rock band. I had seen them open for another band, like July Talk, and it was like, all right, like, these guys are good. They have a couple of songs, and then I saw them. This year actually. They had opened for the Foo Fighters, and I was like, man, like these guys have surpassed like any expectations that I had, and just like what they're able to do. So it's always nice to kind of like to find a band like early on, and then just go from there. Um,
it
but
is
yeah,
great.
yeah. Question number 5: your favorite music video. And like I knew from the artist, I was like, okay, we're gonna get into something really cool, but I did not know what to expect once I saw like that initial frame.
Yeah, it is. It is how I think it's an unusual pick. Um, but I discovered that my favorite music videos are really just a concept of presenting something visually attractive. Like my favorite videos of all time. This was difficult for me to pick just one. I was between "Free as a Bird" from the Beatles. I was about to say "Virtual Insanity" by Jamiroquai. I was about to say "Fell in Love with a Girl" by the White Stripes. I had a lot of options, but
There's a ton of just White Stripes videos that you could pick.
definitely. But I end up, when I remembered this video, I said, yeah, this one. It's just such a simple concept, but it's just so enthralling and actually quite complex when you start thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's "Imitation of Life" by REM. Now, a lot of people might think, well, there's "Losing My Religion." there's is the end of the world. Maybe even what's the frequency, Kenneth, or something like that. Yeah, REM has a lot of great music videos, but this one is just too special for me. Like, this song is just great. I love it. I love it to death. It's probably my favorite REM song. And second, um, the music video is just too fun. It was made. It This is like the 2000s, 2001. So the quality of the video, it's not the best, but it actually makes a very interesting thing with the video. It's just a short clip, maybe like 12 seconds of a recording of a party. You're talking about that initial frame. When you observe it, is like, what the hell is going on here? But as the seconds went on, they start zooming in into certain parts of the party, and you realize that all of those parts are synced up to the music video, both forwards and backwards. There are people singing the lyrics, both forwards and backwards. There are people dancing to the song, both forwards and backwards. And it works pretty well with just a microcosm of film, which is just like 12 seconds of video, maybe even less, but they managed to just play really well with that and play it around with the song. And just I don't know, as I told you, it was kind of like, the more you think about it, when you finally watch it, it's like, man, how did they did this? How did they make this girl who is lip syncing backwards to actually be in sync with the song, and do that like 12 other times? Like, it had to be a massive coordination job and effort, and it paid off really well. It is just really a really cheeky, really funny, really curious music video, and I think it's one of the best ever made. I think it's really, really underrated in that category.
No, I would agree with you in that this is underrated. The way that Andrew and I described it, I initially said to Andrew, I was like, hey, you should check this out. It's a bit of a mind fuck, but just let it play out. And then he watched it, and then he was like, yeah, this is basically like a big GIF version of like I Spy, where it's like so many intricate details, and they're closing up, or they're like closing in on certain shots and whatnot. But I think my favorite part, given all of like the editing intricacies of it, you have Michael Stipe, just like in the right corner, dancing with no regard for his limbs, like just flailing or
Yeah.
flailing around everywhere, and it's that manic energy that kind of carries throughout the song. Um, I think the interesting thing, and I think that makes it a little more complex, is given like it is like that one set, and it is like that 12-second loop, but it's that they're like at a pool party, so you have this thing to kind of like see whether or not you're going forward or back in time with that waterfall coming in. And then like you see like you said, like they're going backwards, and they're syncing up with it. Like I would love to see this kind of broken down into each section, to be like, all right, well, like how long did it take to get like this part right? Because I could see someone initially perceiving it as like as this kind of like one take video, but
Yeah.
there's obviously like a million cuts here kind of going on. But excellent choice. I think this is immediately in the conversation of like top 50 music videos.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like losing my religion. I think is an all right music video, but I think the song I just kind of carries a little bit more weight. But I think this one just adds so much to it, because like Imitation of Life in general is like a pretty easygoing like soft rock song. Like they're not like
Yeah,
trying
definitely.
a whole bunch, but yeah.
Yeah. That's
Um,
that's him in the corner dancing.
that is
Uh,
nice. All right, we'll go on to question number 6. Your favorite musical?
Um, I'm not a really huge fan of musicals. I have heard that answer so much during this series, that it's really kind of funny. But I do have a few of them that I really, really enjoy. And I for a second I started like thinking if this one counted, because it's an animated movie. So all of these animated movies are like, are they really musicals? And I think, well, they are singing, so probably yes. um but I couldn't resist picking this. It's just like, such an amazing, and I was really this close to also putting it in best score as an answer.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, it is The Prince of Egypt, my favorite musical of all time. Now, the songs just slaps, man. Like the songs here, to start with Deliver Us, like the way they do, is just amazing. It's just like a spine chilling song, like for what it says, for the message that it gives, and it also for like the vocals in here are just ridiculous. Like just they are feel larger than Earth itself, and just like the whole arrangement is just so epic, and how it transitions to the calmer song with Moses' mom in the river, and kind of like the perfect transition to make to that song, and then transition again to the end of the song, which is just again like this chilling moment. And if we're going to talk about the rest of the songs, we have the Plague song, which is just amazing. Like it's a song about suffering. It shouldn't be that fun. It shouldn't be that great.
no.
But and also, well, everyone knows it. Actually, I think it won an Oscar for best original song. I think When You
To the
Believe.
Googler.
I think everyone knows that one. You know the Mariah Whitney song,
Yes, yeah.
which is
Uh,
also great. Actually, I as much as that version is actually amazing, I think I prefer the original version from the movie a little bit more, just because the weight that carries in the film in the movie, you know. Then we also have the song about the priest, the high priest, playing with the big boys now, which is also really fun. Like half of my knowledge of Egyptian mythology is thanks to that song, you know.
yeah.
And yeah,
Um,
everyone owns their songs completely.
yeah. So for the award recognition or whatever, it was nominated for best original musical back when they were still doing them in the '90s. But it did lose out to Shakespeare in Love, but also like in a pretty good class of its own, because it was nominated alongside like Patch Adams and A Bug's Life. You're right. Best original musical or comedy score, which is a weird sort of pairing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have a take. Some people are gonna get mad, but hear me out.
Okay.
Whenever this was on, I immediately kind of compared it to Lion King because there was this epicness and the story that's going on. I think Lion King is the better movie, but I wish that Lion King had the Prince of Egypt's I wish it had its score, and I wish it had its theatricality because of the score and the songs.
How dare you?
But yeah, like you said, Deliverance is a great one. I'm not as sold on playing with the big boys. I do think that Be Prepared does kind of win that battle and like in the better villain song.
Oh,
But yeah, what were some other good ones here? Through Heaven's Eyes was another one that kind of stood out.
Through Heaven's Eyes, I forgot about that song. That song's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah, but like you said, like Hans Zimmer's score and that just keeps like this feels more like a Broadway musical than it is a movie, and I think that's a great thing as well. Like especially given like the sword and sandals aspect of it, like everything is so grand, so you kind of have to have the music to match it. But yeah, it was and it's weird too whenever this came up because like I know this is technically like this is a fandom movie, but it's like I think of all the times that I've heard people talk about this movie, they never really reference like the musical or the songs it's always about like the plot and whatnot. But yeah, this is a really good one, like an underrated DreamWorks movie that I think.
Oh yeah.
That I think is going to get overlooked, honestly, by your Shreks.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Which I'm just gonna say it. I think this is my favorite animated movie of all time.
Yeah, Studio Ghibli has kind of stolen my heart with that. They have a couple of really good ones. But yeah, in terms of animated musicals, this is definitely in that conversation.
Yeah.
Like right up there with The Nightmare Before Christmas. Um, but yeah, on to question number 7. Now, whenever you would originally submitted your list, you had 2 answers, and I was like okay, these are pretty straightforward, but we'll still have a good discussion on them. Then yesterday, I believe it was yesterday. You're like, all right, I'm going to change my answer. Who did you pick?
Okay, I think I'm gonna lose most of the people from the chat and most of the internet community here. But I think the most overrated. I mean, it crossed my mind to put certain artists that shares last name with DeAndre Swift. But I end up not putting that because the discourse is already too tiring. I'm not gonna touch it. Um, but I ended up putting Beach House as my.
What?
Yeah, sorry, Tom Grossi. The which, by the way, let me tell. Can we discuss how surreal was to see Bar alongside Tom Grossi in that video? Like it was just so
Yeah,
so
it was
crazy.
great. Yeah.
I watched. I was following that show, and then I watched that episode, and it was like, wait a minute, that seems like someone I know. And then the next day, somebody sent that screenshot, and it was like, oh my god, it was Bar. That was amazing.
Yeah. To stay on that tangent for a second, because Andrew is an incredible friend. Because when he was at that meetup, he was talking with Tom, and then my Facebook Messenger got a notification, and there was a video, and it was like a personal hello from Tom. So
Whoa.
that was really cool. So Andrew, I know you're not here right now, but thank you very much for that. I don't think I ever said that, but
That
yeah.
was great.
But yeah, let's talk about Beach House.
Okay, yeah, I think I don't have. I can't slow that, no more. This whole thing about post 2000s dream pop. Pretty much the only band that pops up into the conversation is Beach House, and I think there's a reason for that. They are quite popular. Their songs, the famous ones, are quite catchy. But I have to be honest, I never got the liking out of Beach House. I never got into the hype train of them, and I to this day think that Cherry Song, no, how's Space Song and
Bass song, yeah.
Space Song and Bloom, they sound exactly the same. They are like the exact same song, which, I mean, it's not bad. I like songs that are really sound alikes, but these ones are like, I literally have played them back to back, and it's like I don't know which one is which. Um, but yeah, probably it's because I'm not the biggest fan of dream pop. I mean, I do like some dream pop artists, but I do think that there are some other bands that represent this dream poppy aesthetic a little bit better than Beach House, like Sweet Trip, for example. They do a pretty great job. If you have checked them out, Broadcast do that as well. Yo La Tengo, if we want to be like super super classic, or Slow Dive. But if we talk about contemporary dream pop, like the kings of the genre are Beach House, and everybody loves them, and that's fine. But I just don't share the love. I just think they are. For example, I listened to Teen Dream a couple of weeks ago. I have listened to that album before, and I never quite got the liking of it. I know it's famous because from that album, I think there's Kendrick flips a sample from one of those songs in
Okay.
"B Don't Kill My Vibe." uh Actually reverse it, and it's really intelligent, it's really cool. But outside of that song, I don't really find like anything too great in the repertoire. And again, I have heard to Space Song, I have heard to Bloom. I like those songs to a degree, but I just don't find myself loving the band as much as everyone else does. And I think that there are other dream pop bands that do the Beach House a little bit better.
Yeah. So you did something that I didn't think could be done for this question. You got me and Andrew. We're like, who is this? We're not sure. I have never heard of them before. So I threw them on today. And I agree with you. They're fine. Like my partner when I were listening to them, and she had described them as like a milder Tame Impala.
Oh yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah. But I agree with you because I was like just kind of like looking at the stats or whatever. And Space Song has almost 850 million listens on Spotify, and that song is just fine. Like it's not extraordinary. It doesn't have like that like top 40 kind of power because when I think of Dream Pop, I almost think of like Carly Rae Jepsen and like a sort of along those lines.
Oh yeah.
I did like Myth. Myth is okay. But yeah, it doesn't make sense how like that song in particular because even after Space Song, Silver Soul and Myth have over 100 million listens, which I think is like pretty average for the course of like mainstream singles that are getting radio play. Um, but yeah, congratulations, you caught both of us off guard on this.
I talk more in the sense of like these guys are critical darlings. Like if you go into
Oh, that makes sense. Okay.
if you get to rate your music or if you go to like reviewers on YouTube, they love Beach House. Like they constantly grade them like 4 to 5 stars onto their albums. And I mean, I get it. They are kind of like independent. They play into like in the underground a little bit, but not everything that has to be like that has to be like great, you know. And I just don't get the love from Beach House. So let me get this straight: the what from Tom Grossi was because he didn't know about Beach House and not because he was mad about me picking Beach House.
No, yeah, we didn't know. We didn't know who Beach House was.
Okay, yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah. All right. Question number 8. Your favorite score. I think of your answers tonight, this is a pretty safe pick. But I think everybody's gonna kind of agree that this is a great score.
Yeah, I wasn't going to be very innovative in here because I love scores, but few things. I was really this close to picking the Prince of Egypt in both of them, but it was like, nah, let's diversify. So yeah, it's a safe pick, but it's just so great. It is The Social Network by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, also known as Nine Inch Nails now these days. So I think I don't know if this was the very first effort by them, like composing. I don't think so, but it was the first one that got them like into a lot of recognition, definitely. And
Keep talking. I'm gonna look that up.
very well. So yeah, it's just a great score. It won awards. And what I like about scores, I mean, I love the grandiose orchestra things that really that really makes the movie better, or in some cases, transcend the movie itself. But this one doesn't have, I mean, it does have some orchestral element, but it's mostly an ambient slash techno type of score, which for once it's really cool. But because I like when composers play with the instruments that they have, you know. And second, I like how it plays throughout the movie a lot, you know, because I love when scores transcend the movie itself, but I enjoy a little bit more when a movie score accompanies the film so well that you can't separate one from the other. And I think this is the case with The Social Network. You cannot watch the scene of Jesse Weird, Zuckerberg, Heisenberg walking through the snow without hearing that din, din, din. Or you can't observe those frat parties without, this really weird dubsteppy beats, or maybe just going into a terrains of IDM. And again, we're talking about Trent Reznor here. We're talking about a guy who knows these areas pretty well. So they work out not just kind of like outside of themselves, but they complement the movie so well that I cannot separate one from the other, like, at all.
Yeah. No, this is really good. This is a really good one. So like a little peek behind the curtain. I normally watch the movie for favorite score to kind of get the sense of the movie. I had seen this one a couple of times, so I did take that opportunity to watch Prince of Egypt. But to answer the first question, this was his first film score, but it wasn't his first venture outside of music. He did do the music for Quake, which is basically like Doom video game. But kind of like how you were talking, I think the two styles of music that are in this movie are prevalent for what's going on, because like you said, you have that ambient nature of the piano, and then there's like these it's either like strings or a guitar or something, but it really kind of creates it helps with like the tension of the movie, because you have or Jesse Eisenberg or whatever, like essentially creating Facebook, and I think that's initially kind of perceived as like, oh, like it's this big innovation, but I think what that tension does, it kind of foreshadows the end of the movie, or like what is really going to happen, because like he's gonna have to make some bad choices, as you can see my dog hopping back up in bed, but yeah, like it's a really good job creating that tension. But then you have like those techno elements, and I think that really helps with like the pacing of it, because a lot of those are set with like, because I like whenever I first heard it, I immediately went to the time when it's like Jesse Eisenberg, Andrew Garfield, and Justin Timberlake like in the club, and Justin Timberlake explaining, I think it was like how Victoria's Secret kind of came to be, and like how they're going to get Facebook going, and it's also at the same time like they use that style for whenever they're like in the dorm room, and it's them trying to figure out an algorithm as to how they're going to get this site up and running. And I think this is a really good job, just kind of creating like the wheel turning moments of it. But yeah, it's a really good pick. Let's get into question number 9. What is your favorite soundtrack?
I got a really hard time picking one, because I love when movies fill their runtime with songs. Like, I really love that. I could have picked Forrest Gump. As much as everyone hates Suicide Squad, the soundtrack's actually quite amazing. It plays every 5 seconds, which is annoying, but it's still good. But I went. I almost picked Sing Street, which is a pick that somebody before me picked. I don't know for what category, but I said, yeah, Sing Street had an amazing soundtrack, because it's kind of like all pieces of that period, like 80s new wave kind of thing.
Bill Cariola had it for his, I believe it was his favorite musical.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, well, great pick, Bill. And I remember how great of a soundtrack it was. But if I was completely true and honest to myself, I wanted to pick something special, and also kind of like mixing some answers that I had before. I went with the Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou for my favorite soundtrack, and it has some good songs.
You're
it had some...
damn right it is.
Excellent.
Excellent choice. Yeah.
Thanks, Tom, again. It has some good songs, definitely. But what the main element, or what the main aspect of this soundtrack is, or what it makes it so great, is their David Bowie bossa novas type covers, which are just beautiful. They are just marvelous and amazing. The person in charge of making those covers is Seu Jorge, which is actually a legend in 20th century bossa nova and samba and Brazilian music. And the way he creates this, he creates kind of like moments for the scenes of the movie, and just like in a separate stance, making a damn great cover. It's just amazing how he balanced both of those out.
Yeah, I'm torn between Rebel Rebel and Life on Mars as his favorite covers. I think
Yes.
both of those were done really well. I'm a sucker for that classical guitar style. Even the guitar that I have now has the same headstock, so that it really accommodates to the finger style and the real softness of it. But similar to how we were talking about with the Social Network, there is this really polarization of the sounds, because you have that nice soft sound like bossa nova, but then you also have Mark Mothersbaugh's score, which if you don't know who he is, he's part of Devo, and it's like this really kind of like out there new wave sound, which fits right into Wes Anderson's wheelhouse, which is really kind of like quirky and whatnot. I've watched a little bit of Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I think I got like halfway through, and then I think I fell asleep. But I think those softer covers really fit into the character of Bill Murray as well. I think given what's going on in the movie, and kind of like how he's processing certain moments. But you also have like Iggy Pop is on here for a little bit. Joe
Yes.
Baez, Devo, as mentioned. And then David Bowie does appear on here twice. Like his version of Life on Mars is here as well. And then it's closed with Queen Bitch, which is another great one as well. In terms of Wes Anderson soundtracks, I think my favorite is still going to be Darjeeling Limited.
That's a good one too.
In particular for the closer, I love Champs-Élysées. I think that's just a very like warm and bright song. But yeah, I really like this choice. Just given how kind of quirky Wes Anderson can be with this. But yeah, we'll get on to the last question of the night. What is your favorite song to perform or sing?
Well, I pick one particularly because I cannot sing and I don't know how to play. But recently, I started playing this thing, which is like a melodica.
Oh, nice.
And one of the songs that I was really obsessed with to playing in this is Sting's "Shape of My Heart," which if you listen to that song, you may pretty much notice that there is no melodica to be present in that song. It's an harmonica, but I cannot play harmonica for shit. So I kind of like discovered, hey, this sounds quite similar. Let me try to pull it out. And by playing with the notes, I actually kind of like discovered how to play it. And it became one of my favorite songs because I started to play it a lot. And also because I started to listening to it a lot, and because I started to play with it as well, and it says like, oh wow, this song is actually pretty cool. I really liked it, and it's the only song that I can actually kind of perform that, and Fields of Gold as well from Sting.
Oh yeah, cool.
So that's the song that I prefer, that I talk. But for example, if we talk about, I didn't put this into the list or anything, but if we talk about like, I don't know, karaoke or something, my recent favorite is "Man on the Moon" by R.E.M. Precisely.
Yeah, that's a great one. I love that you're picking up melodica. I think it's a really fun instrument. It's cool that you're able to kind of replace the harmonica solo and that with this. I think it kind of fits naturally well, and like there's like similar to a piano, or I guess a keyboard in particular. There really is a chance to like extend your range or kind of have bend on certain sounds. When you mentioned throwing in the melodica, I immediately went to there's a band here called Walk Off the Earth, and they did a cover of Happy, and they use the melodica in a solo, and they go back and forth with the melodica and a sax. So I think it's really cool in that sense. Really glad they picked something from Sting, like Sting Post Police. I think he had a similar to Bowie. That was really his time to like let's kind of get a feel of what I can go for, because this is much softer to what the Police like would have been doing around that time.
Definitely.
Yeah. But that is going to wrap up the show for today. 2 encore questions as always. Number 1, who are you listening to right now that people need to check out? And second of all, who is somebody that you would like to see on the show?
First one, I've been listening to a lot of I have precisely listening to a lot of the Police. I got really hooked up with their albums, particularly Ghost in the Machine and Synchronicity. I think they are like great albums. Great albums.
Orlando Stamore is, I believe, is on par with like the Weezer's Blue album in terms of like debut records. Just they smack it out of the park.
Yeah, definitely pretty good stuff. And I also been listening to a lot of Mexican music because it's like this month is like very important for my country because it's like the holiday, like the national day.
Oh, okay.
And I've been listening to a lot of music just to commemorate that. And there's a band called Café Tacuba, which are just great. I mean, they speak solely in Spanish, so maybe that's not gonna be a lot of attractive to some of you, but still, pretty great band. And who would I like to watch in this? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure that I know a lot of members of the community, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of members of the community don't know who the hell am I.
That's the great thing though, because we've had people on here that are not from the community. So yeah.
Well, I listened to the one by Dylan, which is pretty good. I think I matched him in a trivia contest about Kendrick Lamar a few months ago.
Oh yeah, on Full Metal Random.
Yeah, I did that. It was a fun time, and I think he and I would be best friends because he has a lot of music opinions that I share with. I don't know. Let me just see who is in the group and let me see who haven't appeared, so I can give you like an answer. Caleb Boatman, I think he hasn't.
Yeah,
he hasn't appeared, and he likes Weezer, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, he likes Weezer. He's also one of the few people that like adores Elvis Presley. So I've been kind of looking. So yeah, if he ever does come on, I feel like that'd be kind of my excuse to like finally give him a deep dive and like really kind of like ground my opinion on whether or not he is good or not.
Well, that would be great.
Yeah. But yeah, that is going to wrap up the show for today. Once again, David, thank you again for coming on. I'm sure you'll be back again with some more content that we'll be putting out down the road. But yeah.
Thanks for inviting me, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you to Andrew as well for kicking in and for setting up the banners as always. Cheers, guys, and as always,